Just once again, got here a year ago, and this is one of my first social events, and just very honored to be the coach at Penn State, and very humbled and appreciative of this event. And so many people from the community are involved in it as volunteers or participants. So many businesses and are sponsors of this tournament, and so to be a part of all the former coaches before me and to help spearhead this. I think we're over $4.2 million in 27 years. It's just flat out awesome. So just really honored for Coaches versus Cancer golf tournament and the weekend and reception and social. So we want to keep it going. We want to continue to pay it forward and serve everybody around us, including the cancer patients that are here locally, and how we can help them through the Bob Perks Assistance Fund.
Mike, now doing this the second year, what's it like seeing familiar faces this time as opposed to everything being?
Yeah, I know some names to faces, which is really neat, and I've built some really neat relationships with a lot of people, and they're here today at the golf tournament. So last year I was drinking out of a water hose, and so a year later here, still drinking out of a water hose, but know a lot more people.
Being able to talk to Jerry and Bruce, I mean, the guys who really got this going way back in the day, what does that kind of mean to you that they're still coming to this?
It means a lot to them, and we're talking to them, to Coach Parkhill and Coach Dunn last night, and just we're talking about all things Penn State college basketball, and when we start talking about this, you can tell it's near and dear to their heart. They're very proud of where it's at now and how much bigger it's gotten every year, and is moving forward, and they're still a part of it. And I know they feel welcome back. I want them to continue to feel welcome back and be a part of this and our program and all that. So, you honor those that came before you all the time in different ways, and this is one way we can honor those guys.
And when it comes to program building, a big part of that is usually getting former players involved. I mean, to see you have kind of different eras here. How important is that for this and for your program?
Without a doubt. No matter what, I want anyone that put on a Penn State basketball uniform, I want them to always feel welcome here with the new coach and the program. It's their program, it's not my program. They're the guys that bled and sweat in those uniforms and had that experience. So I want them to come back and share that experience with the guys at our program now, and come back here and feel welcomed all the time and be a part of our program. And this is one event where we can get a lot of guys back at the same time. So you hear some great stories, and I've been picking their brains last night and today about how their experience here, and trying to learn stuff as well. But you have different guys. Some of these guys I've known for a long time, just through the college basketball world. But to see them here on their campus at their school is it's really neat. It makes you proud as a coach.
Continue with some of that program building. This offseason, you guys went to the portal and didn't get as many veteran guys, not as many guys with 1 year left, or any guys with 1 year left. Yeah. How intentional was that, and why was that the approach?
Very intentional, because I wanted class balance. Last year, we had to get a roster, and with 5 guys returning that are seniors that will be out of eligibility this year, I didn't want to add on to that. Because then now you're looking at 6 or 7 guys next year, and you never know if you lose a guy. Now it's 8 or 9. So we were very intentional about getting underclassmen that would have 2-3 years, and there's a level of development we could have with those guys in our program.
Does that change the difficulty of the pitch to maybe some of the guards and wings when you have so many guys that are coming back that have played a lot and presumably will play a lot again?
Well, I really want to, we went after guys in the portal that we had prior relationships with, and we had a lot of background intel, as I call it. So they know how we do things, because we recruited them in the past and we had prior relationships, and so everything was on the table that way. No, I mean, we're going to play a lot of guys. We played a lot of guys last year. We want to play more guys with more minutes, so we play faster, and so we needed to make sure we had more depth and more versatility on our roster.
Along those lines, when do you expect those 4 transfers and 4 freshmen to be on campus?
June 16th, everyone will be here June 16th, and we'll jump right into our 8 weeks. We'll be done August 9th.
How big is it having 5 returners coming back and having that continuity to build off of, as opposed to having to bring in 10 new guys?
Huge difference, as long as those 5 guys show great leadership and and hold the standards that and continue to raise the standards each week of the 8 weeks. It's huge. As important as they are as returners, and that your best teacher's experience, they got to share that experience. And hey, this is how we do it. This is how Coach Rhoades wants to do it. If they do a great job of that in the 8 weeks this summer, it's going to really help us. And anytime you have returning players, experienced players, and they want to help the new guys, that's when you can take off.
How would you describe the process of getting Freddie to Penn State, and what do you feel he brings to the table?
I recruited Freddie and his family very hard when I was at VCU. He came to VCU on an official visit, and just knew the people around him, and when he went into the portal, we just jumped on him right away, and honestly, we picked up right where we left off. I had personally, I just had a really good relationship with Freddie, so we just went from there and spent some time with he and his family, and then got him on campus. So, Freddie's a very versatile guard with great length, very good in transition, and he's still a young guy, so I think he can really develop and get better and better. So I'm really excited to have him. Very coachable kid, so I'm excited to have him here.
What's next for Ace? Having him come back officially now for the 5th year, what's the next step for him?
How much better can you get in the next 8 weeks as a 5th-year guy, right? That's really important to me. How well can you lead this team? You take, I thought, especially in the second half of the season, you really push the team further. Can you do it again with some new guys? I think that's really important for him. Show people at the next level that I can run a team at a high level, and take some of these guys to a whole different level as well.
How well do you feel like you've been able to supplement and add to your size? You lost your whole center position, right?
Yeah, I think we got size. We got size, but I also think we got athleticism and length and versatility, which was really important to me. And, Q had a great second half of the year, especially, and we're going to have to replace that. But I do think with Yannick and Miles and Kachi, those three guys, there's a lot of minutes out there for those guys to go get. I think they're versatile big guys, and all three of them are a little bit different, which is how I like it, but they all could move really well, and I don't think we have to limit some of the things we'll do offensively or defensively because of the way they move and their versatility.
Do you expect Miles to see the court quite a bit this
Yeah,
year?
absolutely. Yeah, I always believe one way big guys really develop and improve is they're in the action. We need them to play a lot. We need them to be flying around and blocking shots and rebounding and showing his versatility. So I want to play freshman bigs because you throw them in the fire, they get better and better. But his versatility and the way he moves, he'll be up against some older guys at times, but the way he moves and how hard he plays is going to really help him right off the bat. So, like all freshmen, they're going to some days have good days, and some days when they get thrown in that fire, it's going to be a rough learning day. But if we don't give them that opportunity, there's not going to be great growth, and that's really important, especially with bigs.
Mike, how much different is recruiting now when if you don't get a kid necessarily the first time around, you may get another opportunity, and to maintain
even
those.
Before the transfer portal, Mark, I've always taken that approach as like, you hear some crazy war stories when they tell you no and the way coaches handle it. I've never been that way. Never ruin a relationship. You never know where it comes around. And Freddie's a great example. He had an unbelievable summer going into his senior year and had some great opportunities. Goes to Tennessee. That was a great opportunity for him. And here's the example of it didn't work out. He's looking. If we would have ruined that relationship out of frustration because we didn't get him, his people and his family wouldn't have interest in Penn State and us. So that's really important to me. So, and recruiting is so different now than ever. And I think there's 3,000 student athletes went in the portal this year. So why would you want to ruin any relationship? Handle it with class and dignity. You move on to the next one. But you never know if you're going to come around on the back end.
Kachi was that first portal edition, I think.
Yeah.
When you saw him in the portal, what about him do you think he fits at Penn State? What does he do?
Well, I recruited him really hard out of high school, and he played for Ben Luger, of course, who played here at Penn State, and I've watched him practice, work out, play AAU games, play high school games, play high school summer league, summer games. So, I loved his versatility. I loved how well he moved, how hard he played, and his role where he was at. He's going to have a different role than what he had there. So he's a kid with skill, and the way he moves, 6'9", 240, and his motor and the way he moves could be a huge advantage for us, especially the way we're going to play and try to play faster. So, and he's a workaholic. He's a absolute workaholic. He'll be a guy we'll have to kick out of the gym sometimes, but that's guys like that. They reset your culture and they push it forward.
Having guys like Penn and Eli, how important was it to get like young wings that have a chance to develop, maybe have some untapped potential?
Yeah, I just think both of those guys can impact us right away and get us buckets and score. But they're both very competitive. Eli is a super competitive kid. He fits my mentality tremendously. That's what I'm really excited about. I recruited Eli hard out of high school as well, and watched him a lot. And I think he can score. I think he can play multiple positions. He draws a lot of fouls. He's just got an edge to him, and we're going to need that from him from day one. So we're really excited to have him. There'll be a lot of competition this summer, which is going to move our program forward.
Where do you see Puff kind of evolving? I mean, it seemed like last year the injury stuff kind of held him back a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't have much of a summer. He was getting over his knee, and then he had a couple of injuries early and illness, and then I just thought he did a really good job, even though he didn't get off to a great start statistically. He was very coachable, kept working really hard, started just zeroing in on focusing on, all right, I just got to have a great day today, and stacked up a bunch of days, and just started seeing that, especially the second half of the season, later in the season. I thought he played well. He plays so hard, he's so coachable. He sets the example of how to do things on and off the court. That's what you want building a program. And then I thought he just played better and better, and guys really respect him because of what type of teammate he is and how hard he plays. And then you saw his ability, and no matter what, you want them to be, when you transfer, you want them to play the way you want and get results on day one. But any type of transfer, I always think there is a period of adjustment. And for some guys, it could be the first half of the season, or it could be a whole year. And I just think his period of adjustment, once he knew he had freedom to go be a player for us, as the second half went on, it helped him more and more. So I want him to have a great year, really step up. I want him to play with great energy all the time, and just go play. So.
Miles and Dominic getting to play in overtime league last year for their final year of high school. What do you think that experience does for them as they level up to college now? How do you think that shapes them?
Yeah, well, there's just certain leagues in the country now that just have great competition, right? Philly Catholic League, DC Catholic League, Chicago's Public League, like Northern Jersey has some leagues that are just really good competition day in and day night. There's a lot of other places throughout the country. Those guys play an OTE league that was just great competition, and they got a taste of that and played against really good players. And when you have good nights, it gives them more confidence. It doesn't mean that you're just going to show up on day one and get it done at Penn State or in the Big Ten, but sometimes you have some tough nights and you learn from those nights. You learn doing that your senior year in high school against really good competition. So hopefully those experiences can really have them ready to impact us.
What do you feel is the next step that Zach needs to take in his second season at Penn State, and what are going to be the keys for him to take on this?
Yeah, just be super confident. Strength. Right. I think that's key. I thought he got stronger throughout the year, but he's got to have a big summer. He had a good spring in the weight room. He's got to have another big summer in the weight room, and just play with more confidence. I think he did that later as the year went on. His period of adjustment was probably up until January, and we got to do that again with him.
Where are you at with respect to your non-con, and are you looking to be creative, even more creative maybe?
Yes, without a doubt. We want to play a couple different places, and we're still working on it, so until it's completed, we won't announce it. But yeah, we want, like I said, we want to think outside the box and do a couple different things, and even if it's not all this year, as we move forward, I think every year we'll have some different scheduling changes, some outside of the box ideas, just to be different, take advantage of some opportunities. I think there'll be a lot more neutral games out there than ever before, and go from there.
I don't think we've had the chance to ask you about Hudson Ward since he signed. How did you kind of come across him, and what is kind of your scouting?
Well, we had a couple people we know, scouts or another coach told Brent Scott about him. Big B saw him play out west, and we just really dove into him. Great size and strength, very physical kid. Could play guard multiple positions. He could really get to the rim and score physically, and he's just really improved his skill. And he's just a very good athlete, and he's got a competitive edge. And I think we got on him before a lot of other people did. A lot of people were mad when he committed to us right on his visit. But he could end up being a really good player for us because his size, his athleticism, he's got a grit to him, and his skill level's just getting better and better. Big, strong kid with ability.
You said quite a few times last year, I think, that last year's team didn't shoot quite as well as maybe you'd expect them to going into the year. Do you feel like you've improved from that standpoint?
I do. I think so. And maybe not. I hope it's in just raw numbers behind the three-point line, the free throw line. But I also think we have some scorers and a scorer's mentality, a guy that can get a bucket, get to the foul line, make a three, put the ball on the floor and get by guys. I do think we got more of those guys than we had last year.
Yannick is an intriguing piece. He's a guy that's 7 feet, 255, but he also has some stretch potential in his size. Just talk about him and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, just great feel. He played a lot of basketball in Germany. That's where he really trained, and they play an exciting style, and where their big guys really step away and are passers. So he has a great feel for a guy 7 feet away from the basket, passing the ball. He can shoot it. And, I think his role will be much different here than it was in the past, where he's just not going to live on the block. He's going to do multiple things, but he also can go on the block and score. I love his feel for the game and his versatility, and we're gonna count on him from day one. So I'm excited to coach him.
How much does that skill set kind of unlock more of like the things you want to?
Yeah, number one, it creates spacing on the court for all the other guys to make plays. Give Ace more spacing off the ball screen. Guys on the wing get the ball in transition. He just doesn't have to run in front of the rim. He can run to the corner and shoot a transition three or a trail three. Just gives us more options. And when you have a big guy that can pass and shoot, you're harder to guard. You can't just switch and change matchups. So that and that's the way we want to play. That's the part about trying to be different than some of the teams we play.
Last year you had a traditional big and Rhoades that you fed a lot of posts. Without that this year, seemingly without that this year, how do you expect offense to be?
Well, we'll probably spread 5 out more. We'll spread. We'll still have a post presence, but we could play through the post because we have a post player like Yada can pass, Kachi can pass, and they can catch the ball away from the basket, face up, and be different and be comfortable with it. So I just think you put the defense on the heels sometimes when you go 5 out and you put a big guy away from the basket. He's not comfortable. It messes up help defense. It messes up at the rim defense protection. So we'll just play differently that way. But we'll play through our big guys because I think they're talented players.
Javin is the last member of that freshman class we haven't asked about yet.
But the first to sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was someone who, in Tennessee was, I think, Mr. Basketball, was a very big presence in and around his hometown, and state champion. When a guy comes in with that kind of background, how do you want to see those intangibles, come through as a true freshman? Yeah,
I don't want to. I don't want to just put him in a box because I think he's a very versatile and talented lead guard, point guard, but he's such a good shooter with range. If he's playing out there with Ace or Freddie or DeMarco, he can make threes. So we don't want to take that away from him as a freshman. But teach him how to become a point guard. Teach him, he does that already. He's really good at reading off ball screens, gets his teammates shots. One thing I love about Javin is he loves basketball. He's so passionate about it. He wants to get better all the time. He's always working, but he's so open to wanting to know how to get better. He has an open growth mindset is what I've been saying about him. I get on the phone with him, and I'm on the phone talking about basketball, and he wants to know what can I do to get better all the time. And if he has that attitude throughout his freshman year, he's just going to improve and pass people out left and right.
We're Maybe last question for Coach. No more last question?
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.